The unwanted. Slave the auction house was loud, hot, and full of strange smells. Alien voices shouted from every corner. Sharp lights flickered over rows of cages. Inside each cage sat a creature, beaten, tired, and waiting to be sold. Guards stood by with weapons, laughing and chewing on sour sticks. Near the back, in a dark corner, sat a small cage. Unlike the others, this one had no number tag. No one looked at it. No one made a bid. Most didn't even notice it was there. Inside, the cage sat a thin creature smaller than the rest. Its skin was pale and marked with deep lines. Its eyes were large but lifeless, staring at the cold metal floor. Its clothes were nothing more than torn fabric. Its body shook slightly from cold or fear, or both. A rich alien in gold armor walked. I glanced at the cage and laughed. That one? It's useless. Not strong, not smart. Failed clone, they say. Trash, another bidder snorted. I wouldn't take it if they paid me. The auctioneer didn't even bother to show the creature. He focused on the healthy slaves, the ones with strong arms and clean teeth. The bidding was wild. Hands waved, money flowed. Every slave was sold except one. The creature in the corner stayed in its cage, forgotten. And then the door opened. A tall figure stepped in. Boots heavy, coat long. The room grew quiet. The guards stopped chewing. The bidders stared. Is that a human? Nobody had seen a human here in years. Some thought they were gone. Others thought they were myths. But this one was real. Real and calm. His eyes scanned the room. He walked slowly, past the other cages, past the crowd, past the auctioneer. He stopped in front of the small cage. Inside, the creature looked up. For the first time in days, it moved. Just a little. Just enough to show it was alive. The human crouched down, looked at the creature, eye to eye. What's this one? He asked. The auctioneer laughed nervously. Oh, that? It's broken. Not for sale. Not worth your time. The human didn't blink. Name? Has none. It's a mistake. They made it in a lab somewhere. It didn't work out. The human stood up, reached into his coat, pulled out a small silver card. I'll take it. The room froze. Wait, what? The auctioneer asked. You heard me. But it's worthless. That's your opinion, the human said calmly. This is my payment. The auctioneer looked at the card. His eyes widened. This is old Earth currency. No one uses this anymore. Exactly, said the human. Which means it's rare. Which means it's more than enough. The auctioneer nodded slowly. Fine. Take the creature. It's your problem now. The cage door creaked open. The creature didn't move. The human stepped forward, held out his hand. Come on, you're not staying here. The creature looked at the hand, then at the floor. It didn't understand. No one had ever offered it kindness before, not once. Slowly it reached out. Its hand was small and shaking. The human took it gently. Together, they walked out of the auction house. Silence followed them. Even the guards didn't speak. One alien whispered, He just bought death. Outside, the air was cleaner. Stars blinked in the night sky. The human led the creature to a ship parked nearby. The ship was old, but strong, like its owner. Inside, the lights were soft. A smooth voice spoke from the wall. Captain, you've returned. Yeah, the human said, and I brought someone. The creature stood by the door, afraid to step inside. The human knelt down. You're safe now. No one's going to hurt you. Not anymore. The creature didn't speak. It didn't even know if it could. The human looked at it carefully. They didn't want you, he said. But maybe they were wrong. The ship doors closed. The engines hummed. As the stars began to move outside the window, the creature curled up in a corner. It didn't sleep. It didn't cry. It just watched the man who had taken it away from the cage. For the first time, a thought formed in its mind. Why did he choose me? The human's mission. The ship moved through deep space like a silent ghost. Stars passed by in flashes of white and blue. Inside, it was quiet. The lights were dim. Only the soft hum of the engine and the occasional beep from the control panel broke the silence. The small creature, the unwanted clone, sat curled up in a corner of the ship. He hadn't spoken a word. His eyes followed the man who had taken him, unsure, afraid, confused. Who was he? Why did he take me? What does he want? The man didn't say much either. He just sat in the pilot seat staring at the stars. After a long silence, he spoke. You ever seen a human before? The clone didn't answer. The man smiled faintly. Didn't think so. Most haven't. He stood and walked to a cabinet, pulling out a container of warm soup. He placed it gently in front of the clone. Eat. You need strength. The clone stared at the food like it was a trap. I'm not here to hurt you, the man said softly. I came to find you. The clone blinked. Find me? Why? Far across space, on a massive alien station, a different scene unfolded. An alien officer watched a screen showing the human ship leaving the slave market. He took it, the officer growled. The human has the clone. A voice crackled through a communicator. Follow him. Quietly. Do not engage. And if he finds out, then we all burn. That clone isn't just trash. It's the last of its kind. Back on the ship, the human leaned against a wall, arms crossed. They called you broken, he said. They said you failed. But I've seen what your kind can do. The clone tilted his head. You were made for something, the man continued. But they were afraid of you, afraid of what you might become. He stepped closer. But me? I'm not afraid. Later that night, the clone sat by a small screen watching strange images. Humans laughing, walking, building. The man sat beside him. That's Earth, he said. My home. Your kind was never meant to be slaves. Not there. The clone finally spoke, voice small, broken. Why? Me? The human looked at him. Because you were left behind. Because you were forgotten. And because I know what that feels like. In the control room, a red light blinked. We have a tail, the human said. They've found us. He moved fast, pressing buttons, switching routes. AI, activate Route 7. Take us into the debris field. The ship shook as it entered a broken field of old war wrecks. Massive metal bodies floated in space, silent reminders of forgotten battles. The clone gripped the wall. What's happening? They want you back, the human said. And they'll do anything to get you. A strange ship followed them through the wreckage, dark and fast. Inside it, a bounty hunter sat, face hidden under a mask. The clone is in there, he whispered. Target locked. He powered up weapons. On the human ship, an alarm screamed. They're going to fire, the AI warned. Then we fire first, the human snapped. He pressed a button. A hidden cannon swung out from the side of the ship and blasted a beam of blue light through the wreckage. The bounty hunter dodged it barely. They weaved through broken engines, burning metal, and shattered ships. Each move sharper than the last. The clone held on, eyes wide. Are we going to die? The human looked back. Not today. He spun the ship, then flew straight toward a massive broken cruiser. At the last second, he dove under it. The bounty hunter followed. Too close. Boom! The enemy ship clipped the wreck and spun out, crashing into a floating wall of debris. We lost them, the AI confirmed. The human leaned back in his seat, breathing hard. Good, he muttered, but they'll be back. Hours later, in a quiet room, the clone stood in front of a strange device. What is this? He asked. Something ancient, the human replied. It's not just tech. It's a key. A key to what? A weapon. Or a gate. No one knows. But it reacts to your kind. The clone reached out slowly. His fingers touched the cold surface. The device lit up. Lines of blue light flowed across the walls. Symbols appeared, old and unreadable. The ship shook, slightly. The clone gasped. I've seen this before. Where? The clone closed his eyes. In my dreams, deep in space, another voice spoke over a hidden channel. We just confirmed activation. The clone touched the key. Then we're out of time, said the voice on the other end. Send word to the warlords. Tell them the last weapon is awake. Back in the ship, the clone stared at the human. Who are you really? The man hesitated. Then he answered, someone who made a promise. To protect you, even if it costs everything. A past buried, the ship floated in a quiet corner of space far from any planets, outposts, or patrol routes. Around it, nothing moved. Just endless darkness and blinking stars. Inside the ship, silence filled the air. The clone sat on the cold floor, his back against the wall, hands shaking. The memory of the glowing device still burned in his mind. It hadn't just lit up, it had spoken. Not in words, but in flashes of images, pieces of something forgotten. He looked at his fingers like they didn't belong to him. Something inside had awakened. Something buried deep. You okay? The human asked. The clone didn't answer right away. I saw something, he whispered. The human leaned forward. What did you see? Machines. Voices. A room with bright lights. And pain. Lots of pain. He gripped his head. I wasn't supposed to remember. Hours earlier, while the human had been repairing a power conduit, the clone had sneaked into the storage bay. Something had pulled him there. Some invisible thread tugging at his mind. That's where he found a black crate with strange markings. He touched it, and everything changed. In his mind, doors opened. Flashback, a cold lab. Metal walls, sharp tools, white lights above. He was lying down, strapped to a table. Figures walked around him, tall, with silver skin and glowing eyes. They spoke in a language he somehow understood. Subject 73A. Early activation failed. Too much memory retention. Wipe it again. If this one remembers the source, we're all dead. And if it survives? Then the war begins early. They injected something into his neck. Fire spread through his veins. His screams echoed off the walls. The clone woke up with a cry. He looked around, breathing hard. The human rushed in, gun drawn. What happened? The clone couldn't speak. He pointed to the crate. It was still closed, but something inside it glowed faintly. Blue, like the lines on the alien device from before. The human lowered the weapon. He looked at the crate, then at the clone. You remember now, don't you? The clone nodded slowly. Just pieces. That's all we need, the human said. Later, the human sat beside the clone with a small device in hand. He showed the clone a map of the galaxy, zooming in on a strange sector. Do you recognize this place? The clone stared at it. His hand moved on its own. He pointed to a small red dot. Here, that's where it started. The human looked at him. Started? Where they made me? The human frowned. That sector's locked down by the 9 warlords. Even bounty hunters don't go near it. Then that's where we go, the clone said. Elsewhere, in a floating fortress built into an asteroid, a group of alien leaders stood around a hologram of the human's ship. One of them slammed a fist down. The clone has awakened. He's touching tech he should not understand. Another hissed. It's not possible. The mind wipe was permanent. Then we made a mistake, a third said. We should have destroyed him when we had the chance. A final voice echoed. From the shadows. No, we don't destroy him. We let him find the truth. Why? Because the truth will break him. Back on the ship, the clone walked into the armory room. Rows of strange weapons and tools lined the shelves. He stared at a blade with glowing runes. What is this? Ancient. The human replied. Forged in the early resistance. They say it only reacts to those who have the spark. The clone reached out. The blade lit up the moment he touched it. The human nodded slowly. I was right about you. What do you want from me? The clone asked, voice full of doubt. The human looked at him, eyes tired but honest. I don't want anything, but the galaxy does, and if we don't act first, they'll use you to end it. Suddenly, the ship's AI spoke. Incoming transmission, origin, unknown, encrypted. Put it on, the human said. A hologram appeared, blurry and flickering, but the voice was clear. To the one they called 73A, you do not know me, but I know you. The clone stepped forward. You were not made to serve. You were made to command. You are the last gatekeeper of the source. What is the source? The human asked. The message continued. The source is older than any empire. It is power, knowledge, and destruction, all in one. Only your kind can unlock it. Only your kind can choose what it becomes. The clone swallowed hard. Why me? The voice answered. Because you survived when all the others died. The hologram blinked and faded. Transmission ended. The AI said. The room fell into silence. The human stared at the floor. So it's true. They didn't fail making you. They succeeded. And that scared them. The clone looked at his hands again. What am I supposed to do? The human turned to him. You choose. Do you want to be their weapon or their end? The ship changed course. Destination, Sector Red 9, the place where it all began. Wanted by all, the ship broke through the dust clouds of Sector Red 9, its hull humming with pressure. Old satellites floated like dead bones in the void. Broken signals echoed across the static. Inside the cockpit, the clone stood beside the human, staring at the map. This is where I was made, he whispered. But it doesn't feel like a beginning. It feels like a grave. The human tightened his grip on the controls. Stay sharp. If they're hiding something, they won't let us near it easily. The clone turned his eyes to the window. In the distance, a planet circled a dead star. It looked silent, abandoned, but they both felt it. Something was watching. Deep below that planet's surface, in a hidden control center powered by ancient machines, a tall figure stood in front of a monitor. Its skin was cracked metal. One eye blinked red. The prototype has returned, it said in a cold voice. Activate the hunters, a second voice answered from the shadows. And if he reaches the core, the tall figure paused, then spoke. Then the galaxy burns. As the ship landed on the cracked surface of the planet, dust rose around it like a storm. The air was thin. The sky was orange, filled with floating ash. They stepped out slowly, human in front, clone behind. The planet was silent. No wind, no birds, no movement, just ruins. Stone towers fallen sideways, half-buried buildings, steel bones rising from the ground like broken teeth. The clone walked forward, pulled by memory. This was the first sight, he said softly. They called it the birthing chamber. The human scanned the area. Do you remember what they were doing here? The clone closed his eyes. Flash. He saw dozens of tanks filled with fluid, creatures like him, floating, growing, then breaking, screams, machines, failure, death. They were making an army, he said, but only I survived. Far above, in orbit, a new ship entered the system, sleek, black and fast. Inside it stood a bounty hunter with a scarred face and a long coat. He opened a call. This is Ghost Viper. Target confirmed on surface. Permission to engage, a voice answered. No. Wait for the others. You are not the only one hunting him. The bounty hunter smiled. Makes the game more fun. Back on the surface, the clone and human entered, one of the ruined towers. The air inside was thick with dust and silence. Then, a sound, a low hum. The clone stepped forward and placed his hand on a wall. Symbols lit up beneath his palm. It's still alive, he said. A secret door opened. Behind it, a narrow staircase leading down. The human glanced at him. You sure? The clone nodded. I have to know who I am. They descended into the dark. At the bottom, they entered a massive underground chamber. Lights flickered. Machines hummed. And in the center stood a strange object, round, glowing, breathing like it was alive. What is that? The human asked. The clone didn't answer. He stepped forward and touched it. The chamber lit up. Images filled the air. Of alien scientists, of wars, of a glowing sphere in the sky. The past came alive. A voice echoed through the room. Project Genesis Phase 1. Subject 73A. Stable. Connection to source detected. The clone fell to his knees, gasping. His head burned with memory. Flash. He was standing in the middle of a battlefield. Tanks around him, armies watching. He raised his hand, and the machines obeyed. He had been made to lead them, not as a soldier, but as a king. Suddenly alarms blared. Intruders detected, the AI said. On the surface, ships began landing, fast, aggressive. Bounty hunters, soldiers, warlords. Each one came for the same reason. The clone. The human grabbed his rifle. We're not alone anymore. Time to move. Wait, the clone said. He stood, eyes glowing faintly. I can feel them. All of them. Like I'm connected. The human stared at him. Can you control them? I don't know, the clone said. But they fear me. I feel it. Good. Make them fear more. Outside in the ruined city, chaos erupted. Blaster fire. Explosions. Hunters running through alleys. Drones flying overhead. One hunter spotted the clone and raised his gun. Stop right there. The clone raised his hand. The hunter froze, not because of fear, but because he couldn't move. His body locked. His weapon dropped. What are you? He gasped. The clone looked at him. Not a slave anymore. He closed his hand. The hunter dropped unconscious. The human whistled. Remind me not to make you angry. More came. 10, 20, then 30 fighters. They surrounded the chamber. Inside, the human and clone prepared for a final stand. No way out, the clone asked. No, the human replied. But there is a choice. What kind? You can stay hidden forever, the human said. Or you can show them what you are. The clone looked at the glowing machine in the center. He walked to it, placed both hands on it. The ground shook. Machines hidden under the city woke up. Old warbots, turrets, drones, and they listened to him. Outside, the bounty hunters froze as steel giants rose from the ground, eyes glowing. The clone's voice echoed through the ruins. You wanted me. The wind howled. Now you have me. The machines attacked. On the edge of the battlefield, one warlord watched from a distant cliff. He spoke quietly to his guard. He's not a weapon, the warlord said. Then what is he? The guard asked. The warlord's eyes narrowed. He's a god we tried to chain. And now, he's breaking free. Betrayal at midnight, the battle was over. Smoke drifted across the ruins. Twisted metal and shattered weapons lay scattered on the ground. The machines that had risen under the clone's control now stood silent, guarding him like loyal sentinels. The bounty hunters had either fled or been captured. None dared return. But peace didn't follow. Not really. It was too quiet, too calm, as if something darker was waiting in the shadows. The human stood at the edge of the battlefield watching the sunrise on the ruined world. His coat was torn, his gun was holstered. He didn't look like a hero. He looked like a man carrying too many ghosts. Behind him, the clone stepped forward. We won, he said softly. The human didn't turn. This was just the opening move. Now everyone knows what you are. The clone lowered his voice. Do you regret taking me? The human looked up at the rising sun. No, he said, but I know what's coming next, and I don't think you're ready. Then train me, the clone said. Don't walk away now. The human looked at him for a long time. Finally, He nodded. Then we need to leave, now. They returned to the ship, battered but functional. They plotted a course to a nearby rebel outpost hidden in an asteroid field. The human said it was a place they could rest, regroup, and plan their next move. But he didn't tell the clone everything. He didn't mention who ran the outpost, or what he had once done there. As they landed, the outpost flickered to life. Metal, doors opening, scanners activating. A woman stepped forward to greet them, tall, sharp-eyed, dressed in a dark uniform. The clone stayed back, watching. The woman smiled. "Hello, stranger." The human stepped out of the ship. His face changed, tension in his jaw, a flicker in his eyes. "Hello, Illyra." The clone's ears perked up. He knows her. The woman stepped closer. "Still playing hero? Or did you finally decide to clean up your past?" The human's voice was quiet. "I need your help." "Of course you do," she said. "You always come back when..." The fire's at your heels. The clone watched them carefully. He saw something between them, something old and unfinished. Later that night, the clone walked through the dark halls of the outpost. The place was quiet, but not peaceful. The walls had eyes, cameras, whispers. Something felt wrong. He entered the control room. No one was there except Illyra, standing alone, speaking softly into a comlink. "Yes," she said. "He brought the clone. Yes, the real one. No, he doesn't know yet." The clone froze. His heart pounded. He stepped back, quietly. But she turned. "You shouldn't be here," she said coldly. He stared at her. "Who were you talking to?" She smiled. Not kindly. "Your future owners." The clone's breath caught in his throat. "He trusted you." She shrugged. "He used to trust me too, until he left me for dead on EOS 9. Her voice hardened. "You think he's saving you?" "No, he's just using you. Like he used me. Like he used everyone." "You're lying," the clone said. But his voice shook. Illyra stepped closer. I asked him what happened on the last mission. Ask him why his name is cursed in rebel space. Ask him why your creators let him live." Guards stepped into the room. Silent. Armed. "You should have stayed in your cage, little weapon." The clone ran. Alarms blared. Lights flashed red across the outpost. The human, hearing the noise, grabbed his gun and ran toward the hangar. He found the clone halfway down the hall, out of breath, eyes wide. "They're going to sell me." The clone gasped. "She was talking to someone. She set us up." The human's face darkened. "I know," he said quietly. "You knew?" the clone shouted. "You brought me here anyway?" "I didn't have a choice," the human said. "I needed answers, and Illyra, she's the only one who has them." "So you used me?" "No," the human said. "I protected you, and I still will. But you need to understand, I trusted you," the clone shouted. His eyes burned with power. Machines nearby began to shake. Guards stormed the hallway. Blasters raised. Illyra appeared behind them. "Stand down," she said. "We want the clone alive." "What about him?" one guard asked, pointing at the human. Illyra looked at him. "Dead or broken?" "Either works." The clone turned to face the human. "What do I do?" he asked. The human looked at him, calm, even with guns aimed at his chest. "Run," he said. "You're not ready to fight them yet." "Not without you." The human smiled. "You're stronger than you know." And then he turned, fired 3 shots, and ran toward the guards, drawing their fire away from the clone. "Go," he shouted. The clone ran. Outside, in the hangar, the clone reached the ship. More guards approached, but the machines hidden in his blood woke again. His hands lifted. Drones dropped from the ceiling, weapons jammed, and the clone flew the ship alone, for the first time. As he left the outpost, he looked back. No sign of the human, just fire. Later, far away, in a hidden cave on a small moon, the clone sat alone beside a small fire. He replayed everything in his head. The human's words. Elira's lies, the betrayal. But most of all, he remembered the way the human looked at him, not like a tool, not like a threat, but like a son, a student, a choice. And the clone made his decision. He stood up, eyes full of quiet fire. "I won't be anyone's weapon," he whispered. "Not theirs. Not even his." He looked up at the stars. "Next time, I fight for myself." The awakening, the stars had never looked so still. From the surface of the cold moon, the clone stood beneath the open sky. No ship chased him. No voice whispered lies in his ear. For the first time, the galaxy was quiet, but inside him, chaos grew. He could still feel the fire from the betrayal. He could still hear the human's voice echoing in his mind. "You're stronger than you know." But what did that mean? Was he a leader? A mistake, or something far worse? He spent days alone, repairing the ship, listening to old logs the human had left behind. One night he found a hidden recording, labeled only with one word, truth. He pressed play. The human's voice came through, tired and raw. "If you're hearing this, then I'm probably dead." The clone froze. "Listen to me. You're more than what they told you. They didn't just make you from alien tech. They mixed something else in, something ancient, something human." The clone's eyes widened. "Your blood isn't pure, clone. It's fused with the DNA of the last source keeper. That's why you can wake the machines. That's why they all want you." The voice paused. "I didn't take you from that cage because I pitied you. I took you because you are the only one who can stop what's coming." The recording ended. The room fell silent. The clone stared at the floor for a long time. Human and weapon. Meanwhile, deep in another part of the galaxy, the warlords met in secret. Holograms flickered across a dark table. One leaned forward. "The clone escaped." "Yes," another said. "And he's getting stronger." A third hissed. "If he finds the source gate, we lose everything." A fourth spoke calmly. "Then we burn the path behind him. Destroy every planet, every station, every place he could hide." They all agreed, except one. A tall, quiet figure in the shadows finally spoke. "He is not just a weapon," the figure said. "He is the last decision." The others turned to him. "What do you mean?" "The source doesn't obey power. It obeys will. And if his will is stronger than ours, he becomes its master." The room fell cold. Back on the moon, the clone meditated. He didn't know where he learned it. Maybe from the human, maybe from somewhere deeper. But as he sat with his hands resting on the metal floor, something changed. His breath slowed. His heartbeat quieted. And inside his mind, a door opened. He was no longer in the cave. He was floating, alone in a space made of light and dark. A voice called out to him. Not loud, not angry, just old. "Why have you come?" He turned. A figure stood before him, tall and glowing, face hidden in mist. "I don't know what I am," the clone said. "I want to understand." "You are not born," the voice said. "You are chosen." "Chosen for what?" "To balance the code, to awaken the truth, or destroy it." The clone stepped closer. "What is the truth?" "You are the last of your line, the last voice that can speak to the source. If you rise, the galaxy will change. If you fall, it will remain broken." "And the others?" the clone asked. "They fear you because they cannot control you, but you must not become them." The voice faded. "Choose your path." He woke up gasping, eyes glowing silver for a moment before fading back. The machines in the ship had activated on their own, lights flickering, engines humming. They were waiting for him. They were listening. He set a new course. The coordinates, from the human's last recording. Destination, the source gate. As he traveled, rumors spread across the galaxy. The ghost child has returned. The weapon walks free. He commands machines with his mind. He doesn't kill unless he has to, but when he does, whole ships vanish. In the shadow sector, a rebel scout ship hailed him. "This is Commander Diel of the Phoenix Cell." We've heard of you, the clone answered. I'm not here to lead an army. Too late, Dale replied. You already have one. He sent coordinates. Hundreds are gathering. Rebels, outcasts, freed slaves. They want to fight. They want to believe in something. Why me? Because you're the only one they're afraid of. And still hope for. When the clone arrived at the rebel base, it was hidden deep in a shattered asteroid. Thousands of eyes watched as he stepped off his ship. They expected someone larger, older. But when he spoke, no one interrupted. I'm not your leader, he said. I'm not your savior. He raised his hand. A broken drone flew to him, fixed itself mid-air, and hovered silently by his side. But I will fight. Not for revenge, but for choice. A murmur spread through the crowd. He pointed toward the stars. They built walls around the source to keep us weak. It's time to tear those walls down. Far away, Elira watched from a hidden station. She saw the transmission, saw the clone rising, and for the first time, she hesitated. What have we done? She whispered. On a cold planet near the edge of known space, a massive gate began to glow. It hadn't opened in thousands of years, but now it responded. It felt the clone coming, and it began to wake. The key and the choice. The source gate was not made of metal. It was alive, a massive ring floating in space, larger than any city, its surface pulsing with blue veins of light. Ancient symbols spun slowly across its surface, changing with every second. Around it, silence. No guards, no fleets, no traps, just a waiting door. The clone stood in the command deck of his ship, staring through the glass. Behind him, the rebel fleet hovered, silent and tense. Hundreds of ships, thousands of lives, waiting for him to speak. But the choice was his alone. Inside his mind, echoes returned. You are the last key. Only you can open the gate. But you must choose what waits behind it. Power or peace, control or freedom, destruction or something else. He stepped toward the exit ramp. Commander Dial stopped him. Are you sure you want to go alone? The clone nodded. This door was made for me. No one else. He looked back at the rebels. If I fail, don't come after me. Dale nodded once. Good luck, 73A. The clone smiled faintly. Call me by what the human called me. Ash. Ash flew toward the gate in a small shuttle. As he approached, the symbols began to glow brighter. They reacted to his presence. The ship shook slightly, not from force but from recognition. He placed his hand on the control panel. The gate opened, not with sound or light, but with silence. Pure, terrifying silence. A soft voice whispered in his mind, Welcome back. Inside, the gate was not space. It was a place between space and thought, a massive open chamber that stretched forever in every direction. The walls shimmered like water. Floating pillars of data spun above an endless floor. He was not walking but moving. He saw images appear around him, wars, peace, empires rising and falling, his own face reflected in the void, shifting into thousands of forms. Then, the voice returned. You have reached the center. A figure appeared before him, shaped like the human but glowing with white fire. You are the last voice of the source. You must choose what the galaxy becomes. Ash frowned. I don't understand. Choose what? You can turn the source into a weapon, a mind that controls every machine, every planet, every being. Or you can set it free and return choice to the galaxy. And if I walk away, then the galaxy stays as it is, divided, cruel, chained. Flashbacks returned. The lab, the pain, the cage, the human's hand reaching out. You're not staying here. Ash took a breath. What happens? If I choose freedom, the figure stepped closer. Then the source becomes part of every world again. Wild, untamed. No one will control it, not even you. And the warlords? They will lose their grip. but chaos will follow. Freedom always brings chaos. Ash lowered his eyes. And the weapon path? You become ruler. Your voice becomes law. Peace through fear. Silence through control. No more war. Because you'll own everything. Ash stood still. One choice. No do-over. No second chance. Outside the gate, tension spread through the rebel fleet. Sensors flickered. Warships began entering the system. Warlord banners painted across their hulls. They had followed Ash. They were coming to stop him. Commander Dale called out. We hold them as long as we can, no matter what. Engines roared. Battle lines formed. And above all of it, the gate still pulsed. Inside, Ash faced the final choice. He saw two platforms. One burned with red light, control. The other shimmered with silver, freedom. His body moved, toward the red one first. His heart pounded. With one step he could stop every war, but it would cost every voice. He saw cities kneeling, machines marching. Him, alone, on a golden throne. Power, but no peace. Then he turned to the silver light, and he saw something else. A child laughing. A girl rebuilding a school. A fleet of once enemies sharing water. No empires. No kings. Just people. Free to rise. Free to fail. But their own. Ash stepped into the silver light. The chamber shook. A pulse of light exploded from the gate. Every machine in the system froze, then rebooted. But this time, they didn't look for orders, they looked for purpose. Ships stopped firing. Weapons powered down. The warlord fleet spun in confusion. Their machines had turned, quiet. On his ship, Commander Dale stared at his dashboard. What's happening? An officer asked. Dale smiled. He chose. Ash stood alone as the source folded itself away. No longer a machine, no longer a god. Just part of the stars again. The figure turned to him one last time. You have given the galaxy back to itself. Was it the right choice? Ash asked. It was a choice. The only one that was yours. When Ash returned, the rebels welcomed him in silence, not with cheers, but with respect. He had no crown, no title, just a quiet smile, and a long shadow. They asked him what happened inside the gate. He answered only once. I let it go. Far across the stars, the warlords met again. Their machines no longer obeyed. Their fleets had scattered. Their thrones were shaking. One of them spat in rage. He's just one clone. Another whispered. He's more than that. He's proof. Proof of what? That we were never in control. Ash vanished not long after. Some say he became a traveler, helping lost worlds. Others say he returned to the place where he was made and let the stars bury his story. But those who saw him last say he walked with no army, no weapon, only light in his eyes and peace in his steps.